Hello, I'm doing the content acquisition podcast walkthrough so that you know what you should have for your presentation. So you'll have to pick the content area. I picked properties of a parallelogram, which is in my geometry class, and I picked the grade level, which is 10th grade. You have to think about the student you're trying to help also. So in this case, I do have a student who would need the closed captioning, so I will be turning that on once I upload to YouTube, and then turning on the closed captioning and then add it to the Edpuzzle later. All right, so let me go ahead and continue. So here's your slide number 1. So you'll have the topic. So mine is going to be about the properties of the parallelogram. You can put SED 366, or you don't have to if you want to reuse your video. The content knowledge, or in this case, the vocab in context, I want students to know. So you guys will be maybe adding these as well. So vocabulary number 1, we need to know what parallel lines are. So the lines that are on the same plane and they do not intersect. So before we can get started with knowing our properties of a parallelogram, we need to know some of the words in context in order for us to understand what is a parallelogram. We need to know what is a polygon. A polygon is a closed shape with at least 3 sides. So here we have 2 examples. We have a triangle with 3 sides and a square with 4 sides. We also need to know what does it mean when something is congruent to another thing. So congruent just means equal in measures. So in this case, congruent means equal in measures. And we have 2 examples. We have example 1. It could be something that is 4 inches long and is equal to another thing that is 4 inches long. We have example 2. We have an angle that's 65 degrees in measure, and we have another angle that is also 65 degrees in measure. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about what is a parallelogram. A parallelogram is a 4-sided polygon with 2 pairs of opposite parallel sides. Here is an example of a parallelogram. These are non-examples, not a parallelogram. So we have a triangle, not a parallelogram. We have a trapezoid, not a parallelogram. We have a hexagon. This is a polygon with 6 angles and 6 sides, so that's why it's a hexagon, not a parallelogram. We have this shape with 4 sides, but opposite sides are not parallel. You don't have a parallelogram. This is a quadrilateral. So these are just extra examples of the shapes that are not parallelograms. There are 6 properties of a parallelogram, so we are going to look at how would you determine if a shape is a parallelogram using 6 of these properties. I'm going to go through each one. Property number 1, we have 2 pairs of opposite sides are parallel. We use arrow, 1 arrow here with matching with the other arrow. We have 2 arrows here matching with 2 arrows. So opposite sides are parallel. So we have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Property number 2, we have 2 pairs of opposite sides are congruent. So we have 1 tick mark matches with 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks matches with 2 tick marks. So we have 1 pair, 2 pairs. So 2 pairs of opposite sides that are congruent. Property number 3, we have 2 pairs of opposite angles are congruent. So we have 1 arc matches with 1 arc. We have 2 arcs matches with 2 arcs. So in this case, you have to see, okay, these are angles, not sides, and we have 2 pairs of opposite angles are congruent. Property number 4, we have consecutive angles are supplementary. They add to 180 degrees. So we have 2 angles that are next to, consecutive angles mean that they're next to. So go ahead and find 2 angles that are next to. They have to add to 180 degrees. Property number 5, diagonals bisect each other. So you have one diagonal bisects the other diagonal, and vice versa. The other diagonal bisects that original diagonal. So you have one length right here is congruent to the other length, so that's why you have that 1 tick mark, matches with 1 tick mark. And then you have the other length with 2 tick marks, that would match with 2 tick marks. Property number 6, we have exactly 1 pair of opposite sides that are both parallel and congruent. So 1 pair, okay, that are both parallel with arrows and congruent with tick marks. So in this case, we have 1 arrow matches with 1 arrow to show that those 2 lines or 2 sides are parallel. And we have 1 tick mark with 1 tick mark to show that those 2 sides are congruent or same in measures. And thank you for watching.